Let's call the meeting to order. Mel will do roll call.
Mrs. Krentz.
Here.
Mr. Heisey.
Here.
Mr. Tim.
Here.
Mr. Piaski.
Here.
Mr. Eckstein.
Here.
Mr. Weddy.
Here.
Mrs. Plata.
Here.
Mr. King.
Here.
Mr. Wade.
He's excused.
Mr. Rothermel.
Here.
Mark Kirsch.
Yes.
Thank you. Now we'll stand for silent prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have public comments. David Peterson is the first person to speak. And David, if you could please turn that on before you start.
Good evening. On behalf of the Wautoma Area School District Board and the employees, I'd like to invite all of you to a public forum that we're holding tomorrow night with the candidates from the 6th Congressional District and the 76th Assembly District that are up for election on November 4th. It's at the Wautoma High School. For those of you who don't know which door to come in, door number 1 by the PAC. It starts at 6 o'clock when the public can come, meet and greet the candidates and submit any questions that you'd like to have presented to the candidates. And then the forum itself starts at 6:30. So we'd appreciate some questions that maybe are of interest to folks like you that are on the county board. And Guy Dutcher is going to be the moderator. It's not going to be a debate. It's going to be a forum, so everybody gets a couple minutes to answer the question, and then we'll just move on. So would appreciate any participation that you have time, or anybody from the public, anybody else that you know. 6 o'clock to submit questions, 6:30 the forum starts. Thank you very much. I'm going to be there. The Argus is going to be there. Yes. It's Harris, Ferendorf, Grothman is not coming, Krug, and Duncan.
Thank you, Dave. Next we have Richard Delisle.
My name is Richard Delisle, and one of the issues on tonight is the approval or denial of the Buge Lake Management District. And I'm here to support the Buge Lake Management District, along with some of the people here tonight from Buge Lake. We would have had a few more even tonight, but many of them took flight to warmer weather. Although I'm glad they left some of it behind for us. But last month, as before the zoning, gave a longer dissertation, but I'm going to read a few notes from it. My wife and I have been residents of the town of Wautoma and live on Buge Lake. We purchased our property in 1982 and became full-time residents in 2011. We have been member of the Buge Lake Properties Owners Association for many years. I ask on behalf of all the individual petition signers that you approved the proposed Buge Lake Management District as per the signed petition. All the properties in the district are within the Buge Lake watershed. We included as many properties as possible that drain into Buge Lake and benefit from a clean lake. There are about $7.9 million of property value in the proposed district. The Buge Lake Management Plan is in its final draft and should be completed shortly. It's the exact same statement I gave last month. We don't have it yet, so they keep telling us we're going to have it. Over the years, Buge Lake has changed from a rural lake to an urban lake. Buge Lake is struggling with this change, as is shown in the Buge Lake Management Plan. Buge Lake challenges, as outlined in the plan, are water quality, Eurasian milfoil, curly leaf pondweed, small size panfish and game fish, noise pollution, lighting pollution, and poor shoreline. Buge Lake is slowly being choked off by Eurasian milfoil. Since 2000, we have spent $77,125.53 on lake treatments and permits. This was paid for by the generous voluntary contribution of the Buge Lake Property Owners Association members. This is about half the property owners in the new proposed district. We cannot continue to have only half of the property owners pay for those who do not contribute anything and receive the benefit of a clean lake. The Buge Lake property owners have also spent countless hours in cleaning up the lake by hand pulling and disposing of Eurasian milfoil. Tons of AIS has been removed. We are faced with a full lake treatment in May of 2015 at the cost of over $12,000. In May, the Buge Lake property owners members was asked to contribute $250 for the treatment, and then in September, we were asked to contribute another $250 by December of this year. That's $500 we've been asked to voluntarily contribute. We are looking at applying for AIS grants to help with the next year lake treatment. We are told that we would not qualify for a grant unless we were a lake district. With the formation of a lake district, we will be able to implement the Buge Lake Management Plan, which is paid for by the county, by obtaining grants, access to credit, fair lake assessment fees, working close with the Wisconsin DNR, the Waushara Lakes Council, Waushara County, UW-Stevens Point, and other organizations as needed to protect Buge Lake. We will be better able to take on all present and future threats to Buge Lake. Buge Lake Property Owners Association alone no longer have the resources and the personnel to take on this growing task. Buge Lake is an asset to all lake property owners, surrounding property owners, the town of Wautoma, town of Dakota, Waushara County, state of Wisconsin, and for all those who use it. We all must protect Buge Lake. We ask that you approve the formation of the Buge Lake Management District, and thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Next, we have Lars Groberg. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm the president of the Buge Lake Property Owners Association, and I would like to present to you a number of reasons why it's imperative to create a Buge Lake Management District. Again, Rich brought this up, but for well over 20 years, we have fought the ever-increasing cost to maintain the lake and the surrounding property values in the watershed. Since the year 2000, Buge Lake Property Owners Association has spent over $77,000 for treatment of invasive weeds. We've worked hard with the state, the county, city officials to control water and nutrient runoffs from the land in the watershed. Buge Lake Property Owners Association has completed 4 public meetings and are in the final stages of joining other lakes with a lake management plan in conjunction with the Waushara County Lakes Project. In 2014, we found the Buge Lake Property Owners Association unable to continue to fight its fight to treat Buge Lake for invasive weeds for the first time in over 20 years due to fiscal restraints. Since its inception, Buge Lake Property Owners Association has relied on voluntary contributions from its membership to pay for our lake stewardship. Most contribute, others do not. but all receive services necessary to maintain the integrity of our watershed and our property values. Buse Lake Property Owners Association and the surrounding watershed desperately need the formation of the Buse Lake Management District to put us on a level playing field with other lakes in our county and state. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Right now, we'll need an approval of the agenda.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Motion by Weddy. Second by Eckstein. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Now we have minutes from our meeting on September 16th, 2014, and I think we'll take that separately from the 25th meeting. So we need a motion to approve. Thank you.
I'll second this motion.
We have a motion by Heisey, second by Krantz, to approve the minutes of the September 16th meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. And then we had a meeting on September 25th, the special meeting, and we need a
I move to approve those.
motion by Weddy. Second by Krantz. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We have no old business, so we're gonna move right on to new business, and that is reports and presentations, and County Clerk Melanie Stake will present her annual report.
Report here. Speak into here. I'll be reporting on 2013 and the majority, I guess, of 2014. So we can go to the first slide. Just the main responsibilities of my office: county board, as you know, elections, budget accounting, licensing, marriage licenses and so forth, dog licenses, office supplies purchasing for the county, and just general information. A lot of variety there. Who we serve, short answer is everyone. We serve the public in various capacities as far as licensing and questions, elections information. Obviously, we do a lot preparing for county board meetings and cleaning up after them with all the, the large amount of paperwork that's generated through holding board meetings. Other county departments rely on us to pay their bills and help with their budgets and other financial type functions. And our counties, municipalities rely on us a lot, especially for elections information. Oftentimes, if they have questions, they will call our office before anyone else, at the state level or what have you. And also the state. We work especially closely with the Government Accountability Board regarding elections, and Wisconsin Department of Revenue some. And so just, I think you'd be hard pressed to find too many other departments that deal with all those different functions as like we do. So kind of a unique department. So as you know, I'm the clerk. My term is good through the beginning of January 2017. Deputy clerk for 3.5 years has been Sarah Lucchini, and we have had a change in the budget finance supervisor. Donna Teschner obviously was with us all of 2013 and midway through this year, and now we have Molly Buchholz with us, and she's actually here tonight, so this will probably be a good time to introduce her. She's sitting in the back there. So Molly is our new budget finance supervisor, so you'll be seeing a lot more of Molly. This is just a list of our elections that we've conducted the past couple years. I won't get into them too in depth, but a lot goes into each one of those elections, and we handle that for the county. In 2013, we began requesting reimbursement from municipalities in school districts, sanitary districts, for work that we'd kind of picked up over the years that had never been our responsibility, is not our responsibility, but municipalities being staffed the way they are, they wanted us to continue doing some of these services for them. SVRS is a big one, the statewide voter registration system. A lot of them don't have the necessary time or skills or computer technology to do those kinds of things, and we compile election notices for them, distribute supplies, that technically is their responsibility to pay for. So this resulted in $7,410 or $7,410 in revenue in 2013, and since we have twice as many elections in 2014, this will be a larger amount this year. We kind of tried to earn our keep by updating a lot of our fees, collecting those things that really aren't our responsibility, like the elections function, some of the election functions. Dog licensing was another one that we raised a little bit. We raised the cost of licenses by $2 starting in 2013, so that increased our revenue that we bring in for the county to $4,000 more dollars. It was just over $15,000 in 2013. We sold our office, just Sarah and I mostly, sold 800 of the 2,367 dog licenses. And we also issued 19 kennel licenses. This year we're a little bit down. A lot of people don't think they need to license their dogs, but our kennel license numbers are the same. So it should probably be sort of mostly in line with what we did last year. Cutting notices, we also saw as an opportunity for some new revenue. Anyone cutting on their property and selling that timber product has to file a county cutting notice if it's more for just their own use. And it was becoming a lot of work. A lot of cutters were coming in unprepared and expecting us to research landowners and property information and things like that. And it just, so I talked to Ruth about charging for filing these notices, and there was nothing prohibiting us from doing that. So since mid 2012, we've been charging $10 a notice, and we made almost $1,600 last year. The DNR has been cracking down on some of these people that aren't filing, so we'll probably have those numbers increase in 2014. Just some information on marriages and domestic partnerships. 2013 was a really slow year for marriages. We're usually around 130 to 135, and we only had 126. County revenue, over $3,000. We had one domestic partnership last year. We got $55 out of that. This year we're a little bit more busy than last year, so probably around 130, about average for us. We haven't had any domestic partnerships this year, but if you've been watching the news, you'll see that same-sex marriage is going forward in Wisconsin, and we did issue one license earlier this month, shortly after it became legal. We issue temporary license plates for the DMV. We make $5 on that transaction, on each of those transactions. 2013, just under $1,000. This year we've had a huge influx. I think we're going to be quite a bit ahead of last year. Just the last couple months, I think it was Riley Motors in town used to offer the service and decided that's not in their best interest anymore, so everyone's coming to us. So it's been quite busy there too. DNR hunting and fishing, this has always been viewed as strictly a service to the taxpayers that really isn't financially, doesn't make a whole lot of financial sense for us to do. It's maybe 5% of what the license revenue is. And if our office workload continues to increase like it has been, we might look at discontinuing this. It just doesn't make sense for us to spend the time and the effort on this. So we'll see where that goes. So if you added all of our new revenues, we did increase our revenues by $13,000 in 2013 by looking at our fees and changing some of our policies. And this year, mostly because of staffing issues, we've instituted some policies and procedures to try to streamline our operations a little bit, as listed there. So. The clerk's office has been in the news a lot in the last year or two, especially the past 4 or 5 months. Voter ID is one, voter photo ID. It was on in mid-2011 when the law passed, and in February of that next year, they kind of tested it out at that primary. Then it was off, and all these different courts, as you can see, are involved, and all these legal maneuvers. Last month, we thought we were going to go ahead with it, and clerks, especially municipal clerks, were really scrambling to get the necessary documentation, and GAB was trying to get the word out about ID being required again, and now, as of a couple weeks ago, not even, the U.S. Supreme Court has reinstated a court injunction saying we cannot ask for ID. So as of today, ID is not required when you vote, and it's probably going to be that way for a while. So this is just, I tried to create some humor out of the mess we've had in the office the past several months. You know, just, you don't need ID, you do need ID, you know, what's going on. So that's just a little cartoon I found. And then there was the same-sex marriage situation. On June 6th, Judge Crabb ruled that Wisconsin's same-sex marriage ban was unconstitutional, but she did not stay her decision or block enforcement. So clerks were basically in limbo for a week. That's another cartoon just making kind of fun of how unclear her ruling was, and just put clerks in a really bad situation. A lot of heat on both sides around the state. You know, why aren't you issuing? Why are you issuing? It was probably one of the more stressful weeks I've had in office, and I'm not even in a, you know, we're not even in a big urban area here, but it was, it was a very stressful time. And continued. So Judge Crabb stayed her decision after a week of us wondering, is it on, is it off? And then just earlier this month, the U.S. Supreme Court rejected the appeal to preserve Wisconsin's same-sex marriage ban, and I think some other states. So another cartoon making fun of how courts are always getting involved in all of these issues that we have going on. On the good side, we were in the news. If you looked at your August 2014 Wisconsin Counties magazine at all, we were featured in there. They've been featuring different offices and probably will continue to do that. And so we got mentioned in there, and I got roped into writing for that and doing some editing for that, so that was kind of fun. Another big thing that the office had going on in 2013, 2014 was Wisconsin Act 373. A former county clerk, who's now a representative, approached the county clerks with the idea of clarifying some of the duties in the statutes that pertain to county clerks. She'd seen as a clerk other offices infringing on her duties, and had discovered that there were several other counties that were experiencing those issues. So she wanted to firm up what the clerk's duties are in the statutes. There had been some limiting deputy staff to the point where clerks basically could never leave their offices, and if they would have to, if they'd have an emergency or something, they'd have to close their offices, which the statutes say you can't do. They were taking away duties, even duties as simple, you know, and basic to our job as taking minutes at county board meetings and so forth. And then they'd say, well, you don't have any work to do, so we're going to cut your staff. And so that was where that stemmed from. So some of the major provisions of that act, and this was taken from a PowerPoint that Philip Sporowski put together at one of our conferences. The new law says that we are to act as clerk at all of the board's regular, special, limited term, and standing committee meetings, not just county board, but all those meetings. And under the direction of county board chair, create agendas of all these meetings. And we are to keep minutes of all proceedings of the board in a format chosen by the clerk, and all copies of agendas and minutes are to be filed in our office. Another big aspect of it, at least for Waushara County, was that we would have to provide compile all this information on local officials, and we pretty much had been for all those, except for the ones bolded at the bottom there. It was basically, what that means is any taxing district in the county, we have to provide in our directory or something like that for all sanitary districts and school districts and things like that, the contact information for those. So what we've done so far in trying to be in compliance with it is our next directory of public officials will include all the school districts, sanitary lake district information. It's basically doubling the page count of our directory, but we have it in there. And what we still need to do is work out how we're going to comply with the agenda and minutes creation part of it. Obviously, I have one financial person who focuses on financial, the county financials, and one deputy who divides. She probably does almost a little bit more of her time doing finance functions than even assisting me as my deputy. So we just don't have the staff to create all the agendas of all the committees, meetings, and time to attend all those meetings and do all the minutes for the county board committees. So we either need to give us more staff, which in today's day and age, we don't see that happening too much, or the staff members that are currently doing these job functions should be given sort of a semi-formal appointment by the clerk to do these duties that are supposed to be our statutory duties. So minutes filing. The clerk's office is supposed to be the central location for county board committee meeting minutes. So after they're approved at the next meeting, those should be getting to my office. And I've mentioned it to two departments several months ago, and I'm still not getting too many, so I'm going to have to remind people of that. I just haven't had time to follow up on that. And also, I don't know how far back we have to go, but we're supposed to house all minutes for all these things. So we're going to either need copies of previous minutes or, I don't know. These are all things that I need to work out when I have time. So
Does having things on the website, does that cover any of this?
Well, it has to be kept in my office. So I mean, if I had the thing with the website is knowing when they're on there and if they've been approved by the committee. We're supposed to keep the official version of them. And I think most of us put our minutes out on the web with a disclaimer that these aren't approved yet. And, I don't know whether they're changed later on or not. So that would have to somehow be worked out as far as that goes. So some of my goals, challenges for 2015 is to figure out some of those things that Act 373 brought about, offer more training and resources to municipal clerks and election inspectors. I can barely keep up with the changes, and this is my full-time job, so town clerks that are part-time just have a very difficult time keeping up with all the changes that are constantly going on. I'd like to keep more up to date on our department webpage, which would be a great resource, and just more public outreach, more articles, more informational things on elections and other items that we get lots of calls and questions about. Most of my goals and challenges for 2015 are on the budget and finance side. One of my major ones probably right now, just because we're all stressed out from the budget season, is to improve the budget process, establish clear expectations. As far as, we missed some capital improvements that should have been included in the budget that we'll be talking about later. I had to, our office had to do some adjusting because of a reorganization in human services kind of at the last minute. We would really like to see these kinds of things identified earlier in the budget season, before the budget season actually starts, or early in the process, so we're not scrambling making all these changes late in the game. We'd also like to continue gaining efficiencies in the way we perform our AP and other accounting duties, and get more training and direction to departments on budget finance issues. Some departments aren't well versed in their budgets or in how the whole vouchering process works, and it's because we've never really spent any time going over these things with them. So I would like for us to be more involved in that. So the year kind of made me feel like this. This is a clerk in India. My office doesn't look quite that bad, but it certainly feels that way in my head. So hopefully things will slow down a little bit. We've had some staffing issues where I manned the office by myself for 2 weeks because of maternity leaves. So hopefully next year will be more stable and can get back to normal. So that's all I have. If you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Questions? Now, we'll move on to Clerk of Circuit Court Annual Report. Melissa Sampson.
Lucy, did you have something on here? No, okay.
Mine's going to be short and sweet, because I'm followed up by Tom Galkey, who I'm sure will have plenty to share with you.
Always does.
So the circuit court system here in Waushara County is made up of 9 members. It includes the judge, the court reporter, the register and probate, myself, and 5 deputies. We added a drug court coordinator for the drug court that we are operating here in Waushara County. Between the register and probate and the clerk of court's office, we have 115 years of combined dedication to Waushara County. So far in 2014, we have received almost $42,000 from the Department of Revenue. We are looking at the state debt collection that the Department of Revenue offers. However, there is some question due to statutes. If you submit your debt to the Department of Revenue, they can tack on a 15% fee to the amount that you submit to them, and they collect that 15% first before you see your first dime. It's opposite of what we have right now with the collection agency that we contract with. The collection agency takes 19% of the amount that we turn over to them. So if we were to send DOR a $100 debt, the person would pay $115 total, where if we send a debt to our collection agency right now, if it was $100, the collection agency would save or would keep 19 and we would get 81. We have seen a decrease in all of our filings except for the criminal realm, so the district attorney and the sheriff's department is keeping us very busy. We did send out 1,200 juror qualification questionnaires this year to Waushara County residents, and we've received about a quarter of them back so far. We have, in order to cut costs, we have no longer sent self-addressed stamped envelopes with the questionnaires for people to return them to us. What we had found is when we were providing those self-addressed stamped envelopes, either people were bringing their questionnaires to our office, they were filling them out online, or some of them were coming back in the mail, undelivered. We were able to reuse those, but for the people that were handing them in or sending them in online, we were not recouping that cost for having the questionnaire sent back. So in order to cut costs in our office, that was one of the things that we did do. This year, we did upgrade the large and the small courtrooms. If you've had an opportunity to be in there, we will be able to provide technical assistance to attorneys, putting exhibits and things of that nature up for jury trials. We are experiencing some audio issues right now, and they are coming to fix those tomorrow. We did provide a jury to Wood County for 2 weeks for a homicide trial that they have right now. We called in 70 jurors on Friday. They had received a special qualifying questionnaire, and the jury selection process actually only took about 2.5 hours, which was actually kind of nice. Our citizens here in Waushara County had moved heaven and earth to be here, knowing that they potentially could be called for 2 weeks. We had one juror who actually rearranged his entire work schedule in case he got picked. So we have some very good citizens here who want to do their civic duty for the court system. We continue to move forward for paperless. I don't know if any of you have heard, but in 2016, the court system is pushing for e-filing mandatorily for attorneys' offices. We will still have pro se people filing papers, but child support, the district attorney, the Department of Corrections, attorneys' offices will be able to file electronically with our office, which means even less paper handling for my office. We will be transitioning to paperless files in 2015, so we will not be filing paperwork for 2015 and future cases.
Is there any talk about a waiver of the e-filing filing fee for government offices? Because the way I read it, which is gonna increase county budgets.
Correct. At this point in time, they are still working through who's going to be exempt, who's not going to be exempt. Because of, I know the public defender is one of those agencies that is looking for an exemption. The filing fee for e-filing right now is $5 per case. That is for the cost of CCAP to continue to service the e-filing system. Child support, I believe, is down to $1.66 per. Okay. I know that there was discussion, and there's always discussion, of decreasing that fee to $1.66 per filing. Right now, it's all in a state of flux. There are a lot of things that are being discussed with the push to go mandatorily to e-file.
I just bring it up because I think it's something we need to be aware of. We may need to do some software upgrades for some of our county departments that do filing, and we may need to add some money for filing fees that we're currently not paying. I don't know how my office is gonna handle it. That is still like gonna be up in the air because right now I'm on the DA system, and the DAs file through Protect, but my cases don't go through Protect. So I don't know if I'm going to need to come off of the DA system, or if I'm gonna have to have two systems because all of my calendaring is done through the DA system. And so I just think it's something we need to keep our eye on because it could increase county costs more than what you're already paying to support the court system.
And right now, it's going into effect. They're looking at mandatorily making it start in 2016 with a sunset date of everyone having to be electronically filing by the end of 2018. My realistic goal would to be right in the middle of that, understanding that there are a lot of things that need to be discussed with the partnerships that we have with the different agencies in the county and with our local attorneys. The last thing that I wanted to share with you is we did receive in 2013 confirmation of a drug court grant, which began on January 1st of 2014. We hold drug court on Friday mornings we have a staffing from 8 until 9:30, and then we hold drug court from 9:30 to usually 10:30 or 11 o'clock. It is open to the public. We began with our first participant in August after we hired our drug court coordinator who's paid through the grant, and also got all of the people that are involved in it on board and ready to go. We currently have 8 participants in the program. Of the participants that we have 5 of them who, when they began the program, we had thought there is no way in God's green earth that these people are going to change or they are going to be clean. But with the assistance of the drug court coordinator, the sheriff's department, the DA, human services, we currently have 5 people since starting the program that have stayed clean. I invite any of you to come on a Friday morning and just witness what is going on. Our chairwoman, Ms. Collada, is participating on our board. So do you have any questions for me? All right, thank you.
And now last but certainly not least, Highway Commissioner Tom Dalton.
Is there anything?
Where is it? Bottom?
Yeah, the one right next to mine that's highlighted.
This guy right here?
That one.
I got a PowerPoint hopefully going to come up. This is a continuation of when we had the budget hearing with the full county board, and I handed out some information.
Okay.
Handed out some information about different costs and where we sat. And that one spreadsheet had 17 counties where I did the questionnaire on. I might talk about that. I will say there are a couple slides in here that were plagiarized. Don't ask me to define plagiarism because I might stutter. But Wood County did a presentation. I think there's 2 slides in here that I borrowed from them for this. That was not one of them. So anyway.
That's a lovely picture, by the way.
Yes, and I give all the credit to Janet who put the PowerPoint together. I gave her the information, of course, but she did a good job with this. Okay. The basics of a good road. The worst thing for a road is water. So when you build a good road, you try to get the drainage from the roadbed and from the ditches to stay away. You build on a firm foundation, you use the best available materials, and you build from the bottom up. Just like when you build a house, it's all about the foundation. And then you want to protect your investment by doing maintenance. Right treatment, right road, right time, that's any highway commissioner or town board chairman or anybody that wants to know what to do with their roads, that's it right there. Those 3 statements, then you have your maintenance down pat. Right treatment at the right road at the right time for maintenance. Okay. Waushara County has 335 miles of county highways. When I started 29 plus years ago, we used to do construction work. And when I mean construction, I mean we tore the road apart, we regraded the ditches and cut the trees and made it right away to right away where we could get in there with a mower. There wasn't any real big drop-offs on that road. We filled in hollows and things like that, cut down hills. We haven't done that for over 20 years, and it's all about the dollar. The majority of our pavement surfaces are 2 inches in depth and 22 feet wide with 2 to 3 foot shoulders. When we do pave some roads, we put them in at 3 inches when they're heavy agricultural areas like County O, and we did that one a few years ago. We put it in at 3 inches. But we didn't go underneath and do anything with the subbase. All we did was with the surface. And again, that's all about dollars. So the exceptions are out there that we have a few 3-inch roads, but most generally ours are 2 inches. Those widths and shoulder widths don't meet current standards if you were going to build a new road today, or if you want federal money, you have to play by some different rules. Okay. Early road design did not account for today's heavy machinery and oversized vehicles and so forth. The regulations have changed, new laws that implements of husbandry law, which I will be back in November to talk to the county board about. We have a public safety or public works meeting tomorrow, and it's on the agenda. The county has to do something with this new law. There's 6 options. We'll be talking about it at committee. 4 of the options have to have county board involvement as far as an ordinance is concerned. So you guys have to get a little educated on that law so that you can make an informed decision on which way you want to go. I thought I did hand out some paperwork on that before your next meeting. I will be giving you a 3 or 4 page handout to study so you know what I'm talking about when November comes around. That'll be coming. But we do have to take some sort of action. One of the options is to take no action. So that would be an easy one to do, not the one I'm going to recommend. So our roads weren't built for the new weights. Typical Waushara County soils. I should ask Amy to come up and explain all the subsoils and soils. They got nice pictures and maps and stuff at zoning down there, but the short version is the west side is sand and the east side is clay, and you build roads totally different on each of those soils. But again, years ago when we put our roads together, it was throw a little gravel on them and pave them, and that's how most of them are built. This is a graph that I plagiarized. I'll admit this one here. It came out of Wood County's, and their historic rural 2-lane highway improvement cost per mile, and that's what Waushara County is rural 2-lane highways. These costs really are not accurate to what we spend, but I just wanted to show the trends. When you look at resurfacing, which is what we usually do, you can see the dollar amount going up in that first graph. We don't do any reconstruct, and if you see like $1.4 million a mile for reconstruct, maybe that's why we don't do too much of that, but there's a somewhere in between where we should be. Okay. The future of our highways. The basic issue is the cost to maintain and construct highways has steadily increased and funding has remained unchanging. That's probably not a different statement for every department here, that their costs are going up, but their funding hasn't really changed much. The quality of our roads has declined. We're trending downward. I've talked about that many times before. We don't have bad roads right now. I'm hoping we all agree on that. I hope I've done something in the last 16 years, but we are not gaining ground. We're losing ground. So we need to get a plan. I have a maintenance plan that I have, and I know what we're going to do the next year and the next year and so on. That always changes for certain reasons, but if we were going to catch up to our maintenance, it costs money, which we'll get to later, but a 5-year plan would be a good place to start. This showed up a little better than I thought, but in your packet there's I did make a copy that was easier to see. On the PowerPoint it didn't show up, but on the screen it's showing up real good. This is the last, since 2005, how many miles we've paved, how many miles we've seal coated, and you can see the differences in the averages. The average per year for seal coating is 33 miles. Ideally, we want to seal coat a road every 7 years, so we need 46 miles a year to accomplish that. Paving, same thing. We're averaging about 10. We need 16.7 to keep up a 20-year cycle. The rule of thumb in the industry is that you put down a road, it lasts 20 years with proper maintenance, crack filling, some sort of seal coating, and so forth. Some of our roads we can get more than 20 years, some we get less. It all depends on the type of traffic, the amount of traffic, and so on. But that's the general rule of thumb. One of the things that are changing, asphalt pavement designs are getting better, the oil for seal coating is getting better, so some of those numbers are going to go in our favor. As far as sealing every 7 years, we might be able to go 8. Well, we're not making 7 years now, we know that, but with the new technology and designs in these oils and pavements, these should go up and help us in that respect to some degree. We have one road in the county, I believe, that we haven't paved since I've been here, and so it's been down 29 years without paving, and we have a couple that haven't made it much more than 12 or 13 years because of the traffic type and volume that we've had to do over. And when I say do over, we're just paving them because that's maintenance. We don't have any money to reconstruct them properly. On the right-hand side is the funding that we've received since 2005 through grants. CHIP and CHIP-D are a local road improvement program that the state of Wisconsin has. It's been around since 1992, and so far every governor has been good enough to keep it, as well as some raises in the funding, but it's not a slam dunk that it's going to be here every year, but so far it's been pretty steady. Federal money comes from the STP Rural Program. If you remember, I think in the spring when I did my presentation, I showed that County E Bridge project that we did in Pine River. That was the STP Rural funding there, but that's bridge funding and there's road funding. They're two separate pots. This is all the road funding pot. We're currently in a project where we're going to get some more federal money to do County H, hopefully 2015 construction. But you look at how much money we've used with state and federal assistance, and I'm still telling you guys that we're behind in our maintenance. So we've used $2.2 million in outside money in that 9-year period, and that's not keeping us up to speed either. And hopefully that money will continue to come. There was a lapse in the federal money for about 3 or 4 years. They over-programmed and didn't have enough to keep it going, so we didn't. You can see that we had federal money in 7 and 9, but no other places. It kind of looks like there's a hole there, and there was. We didn't get funding. Nobody got funding. So, okay. Snapshot of the work needed. We always have shouldering that we can do. We have unsafe drop-offs. We try to keep up with that. Paving, we need to increase the miles as well as seal coating to keep up to that average if we want to be there. And again, I mentioned that new products and so forth could help, those averages go up. Crack filling, we try to keep up with that, and it's again all about dollars. That's the best thing we can do. I started the presentation by saying we got to keep the water out of the roads. Crack filling is one of the best ways to do it. These are some costs from this year. We did a couple shouldering jobs. We did County V over there by Hancock. We did CH there by Coloma and averaged about $3,000 a mile. Both of those jobs were very close to the gravel pit, which helps costs a lot. If we would have sealed or shouldered something farther away, then we would have exceeded that. Paving, those prices are all over the board. We did AA this year up by P, and it averaged about $70,000 a mile just for an overlay, and that doesn't include the shouldering or any pipe replacements or any traffic control or anything like that. That's just the blacktop. When we grind a road up and then pave over it, we're looking at $100,000 per mile, again without shouldering, without any other improvements. That's just the pavement. And if we were to do base work, meaning construction work, there's lots of dollar signs that go there, and that's where you saw that reconstruction was $1.4 million a mile, which there's no way we can afford that. Seal coating this year averaged a little under $16,000 a mile, and crack filling $6,000 per day. Depending on the number of the cracks, that could be a mile, could be a little more than a mile. So it's expensive to do all this stuff. There's some costs. This is just for maintenance only, not for construction. If we were going to keep up with those averages that I say are the industry standard, we would need almost $1 million. When we figure in the paving, I'm going only with the paving and not the shouldering with it and all that. We're short over $800,000 a year to keep up those averages. These are our funding options. The last two were my idea. I don't think they're really going to help us out a lot. It depends on who we have rob the bank. But the bonding is what I'm here for. I think that we need to start thinking seriously about bonding. When you look at that spreadsheet I gave you that during that other meeting, it showed how many counties have bonded in that 17-county questionnaire, and there was 7 counties that have bonded. There is, out of those 17 counties, only 2 do not have construction budgets, and we're one of them. So we're, again, at the bottom of the food chain when it talks about what we do and how much we spend on our roads. We really, truly are near the bottom. The GTAs is General Transportation Aids. That's set by the governor's budget. They're trying to revamp that whole system, and we may get more money out of it and we may get less. The thing about General Transportation Aids, the county gets reimbursed GTAs by the amount of money they spend. They call it share of costs. So if we spend $1 million, we get 19%, I think it's up to now. It used to be 30, and now it's 19. So that dollar figure is going down. So the more we spend, the more we get back in GTAs. When you look at that spreadsheet that I gave you the other day, they show Wapaka and Wood County as very, very similar to road mileage to us, 334. One, I think, was exactly the same. But when you looked at what they got for GTAs, we're 800 and some thousand, and they were 1.2 million. It's because they're spending more money. I haven't done that math, but I think if we bond, and I don't know what interest rates are on bonds, I don't know a lot about bonding. That's something we need to get better at or learn more about. The extra GTAs that we get may pay for the interest. And that's what Wood County was telling their board, that they'll get that money back by spending more money. It's a weird formula, but that's the way it works. Okay. So these are the questions for you guys. Are you satisfied with the condition of the system today? And I said, I don't think we have a bad system. We have some drop-offs, we have narrow shoulders, but pavement condition is fair, and it's fairly good. I will say that. What are your future expectations? What do you want our system to look like in 5, 10, 20 years? Do you want curb and gutter at the intersections? Wapaka County, for example, is doing that on their construction projects. Every rural intersection, or some of them, they're putting curbing for drainage and for plowing and so forth. Do you want to continue to just maintain our system like we've been doing for 20 years, or do you want to make improvements? Do we want to start going back into construction business, take out these 90-degree curves, fill in these steep drop-offs? A 4-to-1 slope is what the feds say when you borrow money from them or they give you money. We need 4-to-1 slopes or safe slopes. We have lots of 2-to-1 slopes, which means steep slopes, car drives off, it rolls over. Do we have a high accident history or problem because of these slopes? Not really. We can't identify any areas in the county that are high accident areas on the county system, that is, that we want to start throwing money at to save lives. But we do have some problems out there. So what do you want to do? Do you want to make improvements? Improvements are money. So those are decisions you guys need to direct me in. Okay. At the current maintenance levels, we are losing ground. I've been talking about that. We're short of paving, we're short of seal coating. Is this okay? If it is, then I shut up and I go home. What directions do you have for me? That's the last question. Not expecting an answer tonight, of course. I'm laying the groundwork. I'm hoping that we can make some decisions, whatever they are. Let's stay the way we are. Let's look for more money. Let's bond. Let's rob a bank. I don't know the answer.
Tom, do you want to explain a little bit about the wheel tax?
Oh, I forgot that. That was up on one of the slides. There's a wheel tax option out there that you can put on up to $20 of vehicle registration in your county, and that money comes back to you. The government gets $1 or 20 cents or something, some part of that to administer the program. So any vehicle registration in Waushara County, if we pick $10 or $20, we would get that back. St. Croix County is doing that. They picked $10. In St. Croix County, it generated a lot of money. In Waushara County, I believe I figured $188,000 if we did that. It's at $20. It's very unpopular with the public. It's another tax. It's an option. It'll generate some money. That has to be done by county board. So I think there's one more, Deb. You hit play.
Okay.
It's supposed to be applause, but it's not working very loud. So any questions? Yes, Russell.
CHIP D comes every biennium. How come you don't have anything for 2014?
CHIP D comes every 4 years.
They had it every 2 years up there. CHIP money.
CHIP money comes every 2 years. CHIP D is every 4 years. I have waited to use it. I don't use it that 2 year, 4 year. Sometimes I combine the two. When we did County O, we combined the two in 1 year and used them. I've got CHIP and CHIP D money coming for County F in 2015. Well, the 14-15 cycle, we've got that money earmarked for County F next year if everything goes right. But they're different cycles. So sometimes we play around with the money. We've never let a dime go, Russell. We've always used every penny. I've never let any of that go by. So
you have to use it in 2014.
You have about it goes about 7 years. After about 7 years it sunsets, and then they take it from you. So we can let it go for a while. I played with that number a few times, but we've never lost a penny. Everett?
When you come back in November, will you have figures as far as if we decide we need to bond? What, you know?
Well, I guess
Well, I can tell you, we're paying 2.9% on the bond, the last bond we had, and I think we're in our third, Molly, maybe you know, third or fourth year of paying that back. So, you know, the more you bond, the better interest rate you're going to get. I keep the Standard & Poor rating up, so we're a double A minus. So we've been keeping that up. I guess, you know, my concern always is that we haven't paid off the current bond yet. So one option that I was thinking of, and we'll probably get into this as we talk about the budget situation, you do have some room to add some money into this budget without actually bonding, because you do have some wiggle room, so.
And I guess that's a direction I need from you guys, Everett. I don't want to put together big 5-year, 10-year plans and figure out costs for construction and reconstruction and go all that if you guys are not in favor of any extra money or any bonding or anything like that. That would be a lot of staff time that we really...
Not only that, it's almost impossible to project how much it's going to cost 5 years from now as far as oil.
Well, yeah, that was on one of the spreadsheets last time. You know, blacktop was 19 or 20 bucks a ton, and now it's $44 a ton. So the cost of putting a road is double for the material, and our budget hasn't changed other than wages and benefits. We've had no increases for cost of living or cost of asphalt, cost of fuel. I've paid less than $1 a gallon for fuel since I've been commissioner. It's not, and I paid very close to $4 for fuel a gallon. So that's how that goes too. So think about it. I'll be back next month with the IOH, and we'll maybe talk briefly on that, and we'll do a little math. Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you, John. All right, we'll move on to discussion of possible action items, and the first one is a motion to approve or deny changes in 2015 budget, buildings and grounds, sheriff, and highway.
Do you have anything on here, Mel? Is there anything?
No, nothing on there.
Okay, all right.
In your packets, you should have received a kind of a memo summarizing what has gone on since the last board meeting regarding the budget. And what you have before you reflects basically the first day that Molly came back from her maternity leave. She was catching up on reading county board minutes, and she was looking at August and saw about the camera security camera project that we discussed at that meeting, and she asked me if we had put anything in the 2015 budget for it. And I said, well, I don't know. I've been up to my eyeballs. I don't know if that was included or not. And so she did some checking around, and no one had put it anywhere in their budget. And, you know, if we have a cost that we know we're going to be incurring in a budget cycle, even if we're not 100% sure what that cost will be, we have to do our due diligence to budget something for that, just for good budgeting practices. So Molly talked to the department heads. She talked to Sheriff's Department and Buildings and Grounds about the project, and we came up with you know, a very general cost to put in the budget. So that this new spreadsheet reflects adding, I believe it was 4 cameras to Randy's, you know, money for 4 cameras to Randy's budget, Buildings and Grounds, and the balance of those, I believe it was 20 cameras to the Sheriff's Department for the jail upgrades. So that's brought our bottom line up, obviously, meaning we would need to take $400 or apply $490,000 from debt service instead of that $300 and some thousand we talked about last meeting. And the mill rate you can see on the bottom right would be 6.72 cents per thousand, and that would be a 3-cent increase over last year. As Deb talked about, we also ran some scenarios if we were to give highway additional funding to maintain, do more catch-up on maintenance of roads. And one scenario where it was $200,000 that we were adding to the budget, that scenario, I believe, would have been a 7-cent increase. And then if
That's 7 cents more than the 672? Molly can answer that? Was the 7 cents over the 672, or was it overall? Oh, okay, all right. Do all of you have this sheet? Maybe this would help a little bit. So the difference of 490 is what Mel is referring to, and when she's talking about the debt service, she's looking at the debt service, the second to the last number that's labeled 600, that 842,000, that's the most you can apply to this worksheet that the Department of Revenue allows. Okay, so you could actually, at 490,000, you could actually go up as high as 842, and you'd still be within the law of the state.
And
Okay.
that option would increase the mill rate by 17 cents over last year.
That option.
Using the full amount of debt service.
Right. So you could do that and provide some extra funding to the highway department and stay within the law, and it would increase it to what number?
17 cents,
17
whatever that
cents.
would be added on to
So-
there.
But you're saying that if we increased it by 200,000 for highway, then we would be at .007. So, 11 cents, okay. All right, thank you.
So that 672 would actually be like 683, that mill rate?
I've got it right here. Let me just
Okay.
Are we talking the 11-cent increase right now?
Yeah.
Lost track. It'd be 6.804782.
Okay.
Any more questions? Larry?
There appears to be a discrepancy when I look at it. You're increasing the sheriff's budget by 120,000. If we look at
150,000. The sheriff's department is 120, and the buildings and grounds is the balance.
120,000 for the sheriff.
Mhm.
Okay, if you look at the minutes, last time we had approved it for 247,341, and now it's 367,341. It's up 120,000.
That's what she's asking
And
for
then-
that, for the
let me
sheriff's
finish.
department. Okay.
If you look at the buildings and grounds, they were supposed to, according to this, go up 30,000. But if you compare what we had in buildings and grounds in the minutes, which showed a decrease of 6906, and you look at it on this back sheet here, you don't see a $30,000 increase.
Yeah, because the decrease is down to 12.9.
I didn't hear you.
The decrease is down to 12.9,
But it did,
because it was decreased by more than $12,000 last month. So adding 30,000 back into it, you would still be decreasing it from last year, almost 13,000.
but a decrease from last year from 6 and a decrease of 12 now isn't $30,000 difference.
No, it was decreased. Last year's was decreased by.
Yeah, I don't remember what was the original. Do you have it with you?
From, what was the 2014
But all you have to do
original?
is compare with what it was last month to this month.
Right,
And I don't have that in front of me, so
but,
We have it in our minutes.
well, no, that was an additional $36,000 we were taking out of their contingency fund. So they already came in with a zero. Or less, they came in with a decrease, and then you decreased it further by another 36,000.
We decreased it another 6,000 to 12,000.
Another 36,000. And now you're adding 30 back in. So I don't remember what his original budget
after
Okay,
they changed?
It was decreased 36, he came in with a $6,906 less.
Right.
Then you applied an additional $36,000 of his contingency fund. So he
Okay.
was down 42,000.
Okay, that I missed.
Okay, yep.
That's on the last page of the
But
minutes.
if you just compare the first minutes to this, it doesn't.
Yeah, it's on this proposed
Right.
budget adjustments, you had took another 36,000, so he was down 42,000 as of last budget.
Okay.
And so now we want to give them another 30,000. Right.
And this was my best estimate, based upon the bids that we got the last time around. We had 3 different bids, and I looked at all the highs and the lows and averaged it out, and came up with this $150,000 to give to Molly, is what my best estimate was for what I thought you might approve, which would be the camera, 4 cameras at the North Annex. There are currently no cameras in the North Annex. So the proposal is gonna be written for 4 cameras, 1 at each of the front entrances, 1 at the back entrance. And then we have a supply room, in the EMS area that apparently is having inventory issue controls. So, and 1 in that room, so 4 cameras there. And then, the other 16 cameras that I'm thinking you might approve are to replace broken cameras at the jail that currently aren't working, and the blind spots that we had seen when we went on our jail tour. So that's how I came up with the 20 cameras and the estimate of $150,000. The bids should be ready to go out, I'm thinking sometime, next month, so that we would be able to get those back and look at it and have approval of it to be able to do that in 2015, if you decided to do it. But that's where the estimate came from, looking at what we had talked about previously.
The recourse to not putting it in the budget would be to come back to the board and take the money out of surplus. And that's what Molly's pointing out, that's, just not financially the best way to do this. So if we know that this cost is coming, that we should really budget for it. But we do need some guidance, though, 'cause they have to, I guess you've already probably sent it to the Argus, because it has to be published so many times before we actually take the final vote on it. So this is what got published, or these are the numbers you used. So the numbers that they used did include the $150,000 for the cameras.
We had to have that to the Argus no later than noon on Monday. That was their absolute drop deadline to meet the more than 15 days or more before the budget hearing. It has to be published, so kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place there with these last minute things.
Okay. What about the highway? Do you want to give them a little extra for that, or change that during the budget hearing? Are you feeling generous? Okay, Everett's ready to go here, guys. Okay, and that is
To give the 150 for the cameras, the 30,000, and the 200,000 for the highways.
okay. So 150,000 total for cameras and 200,000 for the highway for improvements. Okay.
30,000 for the property and ground. Already.
That would be in the 150. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Everett.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Motion by Eckstein, second by Weddy. Do you have any questions or comments?
Up 11 cents, right, Molly?
So that mill rate number that's on the sheet would be 683 something. Okay. Okay. So that .0067210 will now be .0068046. Okay. She can give you an updated sheet tomorrow. She'll put one in each of your boxes, so. The 200,000 won't be in Argus because we already had to post that, but what, they will make that plan to put that in for the final.
All right, we have a motion and a second. I would assume we want to go call vote.
Yes.
Mr. Wedel is not here, so we'll start with Mr. Rothermel.
Jerry? Jerry?
Mr. Rothermel, how do you vote on
Aye.
the motion? Okay. Mark Kirschner?
Yes.
Mrs. Krantz? Mr. Heisey?
No.
Mr. Tim?
No.
Mr. Piaski, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, and how do you vote, yes or?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Eckstein?
Yes.
Mr. Weddy?
Yes.
Mrs. Colada?
Yes.
Mr. King?
No.
1, 2, 3 noes. 7 ayes, 3 noes. 1 absent. And the motion carries.
Motion carries. All right, thank you. Next, we have a motion to approve or deny 1.5% wage adjustment for non-union employees in 2015.
Okay. The 1.5 was the recommendation that, as we were talking about budgets, that was the number that was given to me to age our wage schedule, and that was the amount that we used as we prepared the 2015 budget requests. So now I just need the go-ahead to do it.
That figure then was included in the
Yes.
budgets?
Yes.
All right, then I'll move to approve that.
Motion by Weddy. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Piaski. All in favor? Oh, I'm sorry.
I'll do a roll call.
A roll call again? Okay.
Mr. Kirschner?
Yes.
Mrs. Krantz? Mr. Heisey?
No.
Mr. Tim?
Yes.
Mr. Piaski?
Yes.
Mr. Eckstein?
Yes.
Mr. Weddy?
Yes.
Mrs. Colada?
Yes.
Mr. King? And Mr. Rothermel?
Yes.
1 no, 9 ayes, 1 absent. Motion carries.
Next, we have a motion to approve or deny the formation of Views Lake Management District. Everett.
I'll second it.
Motion by Eckstein, second by Weddy. Do we have questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, now we have some consideration of possible action on the following resolutions. Resolution number 2010-14.
Acknowledgement of Paula Spielman's service to and retirement from Waushara County.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the resolution.
Motion by Weddy, second by Krenz. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign.
Resolution number 30-10-14, adoption of the Waushara County Farmland Preservation Plan 2014.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Piaski, second by Eckstein. Are there any questions? Larry?
Yeah, I have several questions. How many farmers do we have in the program?
Amy's here.
Amy, you want to step up, please?
Well, I don't really have the answer to that. I don't know how many existing contracts we have. I just know that that we have to have a new plan in place in order to take any new contracts in the future. All the existing contracts we have will just expire naturally. And so without having the approved DADCAP plan in place, we can't take any new contracts in the future.
It doesn't really answer my question, but who prepared this document?
It was prepared by the Land Conservation Department with
because when I look at it, on page 9, it looks like some of the information is not correct. Somebody can explain to me how they arrived at those numbers.
What are you looking at?
I'm looking at the second table there where it says distribution of farms by size and percent change from 1992 to 2007.
Those numbers were provided by the USDA.
They're still not right the way I see them.
Well, I don't know that that's just for Washington County.
Well, it doesn't say it's Washington County. But it apparently must be. The change from 1992 to 2007 goes from 34 to 46. That's an increase of 12 under the 1 to 9 acre size. Figure out a percent of increase. You take the amount of the increase, which is 12, and divide it by what it was originally, 34, and you're going to get something closer to 30% rather than 1.3.
I didn't create the table.
I didn't say you did.
Oh, no, I'm just saying, I don't know how they came up with that number. It looks like it was the that Land Conservation took it from the USDA, based on the footnote there.
But I think somebody should look into it to see why there's a discrepancy.
Okay.
You look at the bottom line, it changed from 25 to 27. That's an increase of 2. 2 divided by 25 is 8% change, not 0%. You know, if we're going to use documents, I think it should be they should be done correctly. Maybe there's an answer for it. I don't know.
I don't know either.
You know, and this is just a theory, I'd need a calculator to figure this out, but I wonder if they take like the difference between each 5-year and then like they do some extrapolation there, because otherwise you're right, Larry, that doesn't make any sense. Because, you know, in that 1,000 plus, oh Lord, so that 1,000 plus area, because you have somewhere and it goes up and then it takes a sharp decline, you know what I'm saying? Like, if they're looking at, instead of just taking like the 2007 difference from the 1992 difference, like they're looking at each 5-year span. Yeah, because you're right, just to look at it, that doesn't make any sense. You want me to test this out?
Either that or else the title isn't correct or something.
Yeah, something's goofy, yeah. You had to bring a thing, didn't you? You guys can keep talking.
Does anybody else have any questions? Well, Deb's working on that. Do you have any other questions, Larry?
That's it on that.
That's it? Okay.
It brings it closer, but it's still not quite right, so, okay.
Amy, do you know what the timing is? Because it has to be fully adopted. I mean, is it something that can wait till next month, or? I mean, I know it has to go to DACAM, but.
Yeah, I can definitely wait. DADCAP DADCAP doesn't even have all the criteria for approval yet, and so that's why we left it kind of open-ended, so that if DADCAP made some dramatic changes, it was incorporated into any kind of approval. Yeah, I'm not sure, I'm sorry.
If we bring it back in November and send it to DACAP at that point in time, at least it'll be approved here, so that should meet the deadlines for the January 1.
That would give time for Larry's answer to the questions, you know.
Yep.
Then I would move that it be tabled.
But we have to take care of our.
Right,
We have a motion and a second to approve it. So we vote on that.
Don't we have an opportunity to table it, even if a motion's made?
That isn't the logic either, that they'd take some average between the different columns. That doesn't work out either.
I'll make sure that Ed Hernandez is here next month, who actually partnered the agreement.
Good job.
I'm just here for Terry, who's at a conference.
Picked a good one to come to, didn't you?
Yeah, I'm really glad.
A motion to table cannot interrupt previous motion. So you have to take care of that.
Or withdraw it.
Joe? Yes. Do you want to withdraw your motion? Yes. Okay, Joe will withdraw his motion, Eric will withdraw his second, and now Larry will make a motion to table.
Table until next meeting.
Do we have a second on that? Second by Mark Kirschner. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Thank you very much, Amy. We'll work on this next month.
Resolution number 31-10-14, resolution in support of increasing and restructuring funding for partner efforts to combat invasive species.
Do we have a motion? Motion by Eckstein. Second by Krantz. Are there any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign.
Resolution number 32-10-14, resolution authorizing transition of all full-time human services employees to 40-hour work week. And I think we're all roll call votes from here on out.
All right. But first, we need a motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Weddy, second by King. Any questions?
These are being phased in gradually, are they not?
Yes. By anniversary.
By anniversary date, that's what I understood.
And the money was included in the budget.
Yes.
Correct.
All right, we need a roll call vote.
Mrs. Krantz.
Yes.
Mr. Heisey.
Yes.
Mr. Tim.
Yes.
Mr. Piaski.
Yes.
Mr. Eckstein.
Yes.
Mr. Weddy.
Yes.
Mrs. Collada.
Yes.
Mr. King. Mr. Rothermel.
Yes.
Mark Kirschner.
Yes.
And ayes. One absent. Motion's carried. Resolution number 33-10-14, resolution authorizing the addition of a human resource specialist position.
Would you speak to that, please? Yes.
For the human resource specialist position?
Oh, that's mine.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, the human resource specialist would be the position in my department that would help with recruitment and focus on just the personnel part of it. Michelle will continue with the IT and the accounting part of it.
Now, will this person, that if this position is approved, would it be possible to use this person in other departments when there are shortages? Like for example, in the clerk's office, when there is shortages of help in there.
We've always offered to help any department already,
So that could be,
we would be more than happy to help people out.
okay.
As long as we know this is not a full position, this is a position that in Deb's office.
Mhm.
Motion by King to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Weddy.
Budget yet.
This
Yes,
is,
it is.
all of these have been,
All these resolutions have been, we talked about.
And if we don't approve them, then they would be taken out.
Do you have any further questions?
Mr. Heisey?
Yes.
Mr. Tim?
Yes.
Mr. Piaski?
Yes.
Mr. Eckstein?
Yes.
Mr. Weddy?
Yes.
Mrs. Kalata?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Rothermel?
Yes.
Kirschner?
Yes.
Mrs. Krantz? 10 ayes, 1 absent. Motion carried. Resolution number 34-10-14, resolution authorizing the upgrade of corporal position to communications sergeant position.
Motion by Heisey, second by Eckstein. Do you have any questions?
This time, Mr. Tim.
Yes.
Mr. Piaski.
Yes.
Mr. Eckstein.
Yes.
Mr. Weddy.
Yes.
Mrs. Kalata.
Yes.
Mr. King.
Yes.
Mr. Rothermel.
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner.
Yes.
Mrs. Krantz.
Yes.
Mr. Heisey.
Yes.
10 ayes, 1 absent. Resolution number 35-10-14, resolution authorizing the addition of 2 correction officer positions.
Motion by
that motion.
Motion by Kirschner, second by Piaski. Now this is one starts in January and the next in July. Okay. Do you have any questions or comments?
They don't have them hired now.
All right.
We start this time with Mr. Piaski.
Yes.
Mr. Eckstein.
Yes.
Mr. Weddy.
Yes.
Mrs. Kalata.
Yes.
Mr. King.
Yes.
Mr. Rothermel.
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner.
Yes.
Mrs. Krantz. Mr. Heisey. Mr. Tim.
Yes.
10 ayes, 1 absent. Resolution number 36-10-14, resolution authorizing the addition of a full-time detective position.
Motion by Kirschner,
Second.
second by Rothermel. Any questions or comments?
Mr. Eckstein.
Aye.
Mr. Weddy.
Yes.
Mrs. Kalata.
Yes.
Mr. King.
Yes.
Mr. Rothermel.
Aye.
Mr. Kirschner.
Yes.
Mrs. Krantz.
Yes.
Mr. Heisey.
Yes.
Mr. Tim.
Yes.
Mr. Piaski.
Yes.
10 ayes, 1 absent. Resolution number 37-10-14, resolution authorizing additional hours for UW specialist position.
Motion by Krantz,
I'll second the motion.
second by Weddy. Do you have any questions?
Mr. Weddy.
Yes.
Mrs. Kalata.
Yes.
Mr. King.
Yes.
Mr. Rothermel.
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner.
Yes.
Mrs. Krantz. Mr. Heisey.
Yes.
Mr. Tim.
Yes.
Mr. Piaski.
Yes.
Mr. Eckstein.
Yes.
10 ayes, 1 absent.
All right, next we do appointments. Hughes Lake Management District. No?
Additional Commissioners Richard Delisle, Sherry Benke, Nancy Davis Richter, and from the County Land, Water, and Education Committee, that committee recommended Enrique Soria.
Motion by King. Second by Krantz. Do you have any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Do we have any suggestions for future agenda items? Yes.
Just if, for some reason, Ed can't be here next month, we for sure want, his questions answered. We want,
I guess if Ed can't be here,
there's the vice.
The vice, just the vice. That's all you want.
all right, then we need Ed here next month. So, even if we tell him right away tomorrow, he'll arrange it for you. But as long as it's not- Okay. All right.
Adjourn.
Motion by Eckstein to adjourn.
Second.
Second by Wendy. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you, Joe.
Thanks, Joe.
Bye, Joe, feel better.
About 26 is old. Oh, how'd that go?
25 wires, I counted them. Wash and scrub, jeez, the glue is still. Acetone to take it off.
Oh, good. Gotta ask the sheriff something before he leaves.
I will be the only one.
Oh, I can't.
Go for it.
Hey, Sheriff? I gotta ask a question when I get over there.
That's interesting. Yeah, wasn't sure how that was gonna go.